Welcome back. Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. It's great to be here. And we are going to get right to the phones. 866-300-9298. We've got one line open, 866-300-9298. Let me go to Marilyn. Marilyn's calling us from Oklahoma. Hi, Marilyn.
Hello?
Yes, Marilyn.
Dan, thank you for taking my call.
You're
My
welcome.
husband and I called the other day, and we are in our mid-70s. Our question at that time was, what should we do about our MFS account? Because we remembered that you suggested taking some of the gains out and putting it in a savings account. So meantime, the agent called us and said that we needed to make a minimum distribution, a required minimum distribution, but we didn't even know these accounts were IRAs. So we wanted to know if that changes what your recommendation was for taking the money out, because we thought we would not have any taxes or fees when we first talked to you, and now we know that the IRA is requiring us to take out minimum distribution. Should we not take any money out at all and just take the required minimum distribution? Or what should we do? And I don't know whether it's traditional or a Roth IRA.
Yeah, it's a traditional IRA, Marilyn, because because the Roth doesn't require that minimum distribution. So
Okay.
it's a traditional IRA. How much did we talk about before we knew it was an IRA? How much did we talk about taking out? How much is the minimum required distribution?
You said 30 to 40%, and the account has a little over 80,000 in it.
Okay, so I'd still like you to get that 30 to 40% into a money market account, but you can do that within the IRA. In other words, you don't have to pay tax on that money. Now you're going to have to pay tax on the required distribution. Okay, so you got to pay tax on that. But the money that I'm talking about getting into the money market account, as long as you keep it within an IRA type of an account, you won't have to pay the tax on it. Now,
So are you saying that the money market is an IRA type of account?
well, yeah. So an IRA is just an account. Okay, it's like a savings account, a checking account, a stock account, a brokerage account. They're just types of accounts. But with an IRA, even though it's an IRA account, you can have anything in them. You can have stocks, you can have bonds, you can have mutual funds, you can have cash, money market accounts. You can have anything inside that account. Okay? So, in other words, you don't have to move money to a money market account at a bank to be in a money market account. You can do that within the IRA account. If you had to move it to a bank, you could open up an IRA at the bank and put this money into the bank IRA account so that it's in a money market or a CD at the bank. Okay?
We have a Vanguard money market. That's what we've transferred money into.
Okay.
We could move it from the MFS over to our Vanguard money market.
Is that Vanguard money market, is your IRA account at Vanguard?
No.
Okay. So no, you can't do that unless that money market account at Vanguard is an IRA.
Okay, so would these agents then be able to open us account within the MFS?
Yeah, but I'd rather you not do that with MFS.
Okay.
I would rather you do it if you got to open an account. I would rather you do it at the bank. But before you do that, Marilyn, let me just say this: are either one of you working at all? Do you have income?
I just work as a substitute teacher.
Okay. So I would rather, I'd rather see you pay the tax on the money that you're taking out. I would rather see you actually take it and pay the tax because, you can't avoid the tax. It's IRA money. You got to pay it anyway. It's impossible to avoid. And what you don't want to, the sooner you pay it, the more control you're going to have over it. And we're at probably in the lowest tax bracket we're ever going to be, because I believe our taxes are going to continue to go up over the next few years. I would rather see you take it out, pay the taxes. The reason I asked you if you were working, because I wanted to make sure that it was not going to push you into another tax bracket. But if you take your minimum required distribution and pay tax on that, or instead of your minimum required distribution, if you just take 20, I would just take 20,000 out. That's going to be getting close to that 30% mark. I would just take 20,000 out. That'll cover your minimum required distribution, and it'll also allow you to put some of that money into cash, and it'll keep you in the same tax bracket that you're in.
So I think. So should we just open an account with our local bank?
Yes.
A money market account with our local bank?
Yes.
And just ask them to make it an IRA account?
Well, no, you don't need to if you just withdraw it.
Okay.
If you just withdraw it and you're okay paying the taxes on it, which I think you should be, because I think that makes sense, then you can just withdraw it.
Okay. All right, then. So the form that the agent has sent us to fill out for the required minimum distribution is something we won't need to do. Is that correct?
No, you'll still do it, but instead of the minimum required distribution, you'll just write in there a different number, 20,000, 15,000, whatever you want to take, as long as it's more than the minimum.
Okay. All right. I think I understand that. And it's
Good.
very, you make it understandable for the average Joe. Thank you, Dan, so much.
Thank you, Marilyn. That's what I try to do. I don't always accomplish it, so I'm glad I did that. Thank you, Marilyn. 866-300-9298. Let me go to John. John's calling us from Nebraska. Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing, Dan?
I'm doing okay.
I want to ask you on some stocks.
Okay.
What do you think of Netflix and Facebook? They've been up the past quite a few. I bought just a little bit, like 2 weeks ago on Facebook. It's up $15 a share already.
Yeah.
How far do you think they're going?
I think it's probably got a pretty good future. I don't track either one of those companies, and I don't buy them because of the biblically lack of biblically responsible investments they are. But nevertheless, if that's something you're in and you want to buy, I think it's going to Netflix. I think probably is going through some transition this year, but it's likely to be good for the stock. But I think a lot of it might be baked in already to Netflix. That's already happened this week, frankly. So I don't know that I would be jumping into Netflix right now until they come up with a final deal with Comcast or whoever they're going to make that deal with.
And then I was looking at, well, not really looking, but if you tracking any 3D printer companies, you hear people think, well, these are the next thing that's going to be coming. We got printers in our houses now. Pretty soon we're going to have 3D printers. And you track any of those companies?
I don't know about it. Been dealing with it, following it very closely, and I think it is probably going to be the wave of the future. People don't realize 3D printers have been around since 1955. So they've been using them in the auto industry primarily for parts and things like that. But I think they're making a lot of headway. And it's probably going to be, the usuals that are going to come out ahead, and it's going to be, the IBMs, the Xerox. They're probably going to do the best job. No, I don't. I wouldn't do anything Hewlett Packard right now. I just feel like they're going to implode one of these days. But I know they're making efforts in that area.
Okay, and then if you have a 20% gain, 20% gain on a stock, would you take the profit out of that? It
depends on the company, John. That's a great question, but it depends on the company. I always give the example of years ago. I when I was managing hundreds of millions of dollars, one of my big stocks was McDonald's, and one of my other big stocks was DuPont, and I sold them both in the same week because they were up. I didn't sell. I mean, I sold DuPont because it was up 11%, and I thought it was as good as it was going to get, and I was right about that. At the time, McDonald's was up 85%, and I didn't sell it. I kept it, and I still owned it in some of the endowment I manage and some of the charitable trust pools I manage. I still owned it until last year when they got involved in the abortion industry, and I had to take them off my list, and I sold out of it. So it really depends on the company. If I see forward momentum and feel like, it's up an awful lot, but there's still room for them to continue to go up, I'd hang up onto them. So it really depends on the company. But I'll say this, you can never go wrong, John. If you got a stock, it's up 20%, you got another stock that's down 20%, maybe that you like, you can never go wrong by taking your profits, in my opinion. And everybody in the industry would argue with me on that, but that's kind of how I feel.
But I got some money coming in. I got to use to put in a SEP program for my farmer.
Okay.
Where would you put that? Like 20, 30,000 now.
Is it? I mean, it's not seed money, is it? Is it long-term money?
Yeah, it's the SEP program, simplified.
Your SEP. Okay, I'm sorry, you did say that. So yeah, I would, I would look at a number of different companies. I mean, the very first thing, and I believe this, that everybody absolutely has to have energy stocks, particularly, in the last 3 years, including this year. I think you got to have some energy stocks. So if you don't, you need to have some. So I would want to have, whether it's pipeline, natural gas, or oil, I think everybody needs to have some energy stocks. So that would be my first choice if you don't have any.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
I've been watching what you want to buy there, and I'll keep a track of those.
Yeah, take a look at it. I mean, I got ConocoPhillips back on the list right now. So from an energy standpoint, that's another one. Phillips 66 from a refiner standpoint, back on the list. So yeah, I would take a look at companies like that. Thanks, John. Let me go to how much time we have here. Let me go to Thomas. Thomas from Arkansas. Hey, Thomas. Thomas, you with? Yep. Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, Dan. Hey, I've got a little question here. I bought down through the years. I bought some U.S. savings bonds.
Okay.
And do you think that I need to get rid of those the way the government is getting in the shape that they're in and everything, and do something else with that?
How long have you had them, Thomas?
I've had some for probably 30 years. I just bought them periodically down through time there, and I'm like 49 now. So,
well, here's the thing. I mean, the ones that you have for 30 years, you definitely got to get rid of because they're not earning anything anymore. Excuse me. The other ones are still earning. They're probably earning a little bit more than you might get in a money market account. Here's the thing about them. I don't have if I had a choice between owning U.S. government or owning ConocoPhillips, I'd rather own ConocoPhillips because they're not going anywhere. I have, that's for certain. But here's the thing you need to understand. U.S. savings bonds, when you sell them, are not treated like a capital gains or anything. It's treated to you as income. So when you get rid of those savings bonds, it's going to be counted to you as income. So I would say be careful. It's going to be taxable to you. You're going to be taxed on it, but you're going to be taxed on it as income. And, depending on where you are as far as your income, it could push you into another bracket. You don't want that to happen. So I'd be careful of that. You need to check to make sure that's not going to happen. But if they're all fully matured and you've had them, certainly over 30 years, you got to sell. But I wouldn't have a problem with if you got out from under all of them. I just don't know if it would be a good idea for you from a tax standpoint to do it all at once. I don't know how many you have and how much it is.
Okay, and it's the double E ones. I don't know if that makes any
Yes.
difference.
No, that doesn't make any. I mean, I kind of assumed that's what it was. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yep.
Yeah. So if I could get out from under, get rid of them and buy like ConocoPhillips or something like that, you think that'd be better?
I do. Yeah, I do. But don't sell them unless they're mature. You know, you got a $100 bond. Make sure it's at least worth $100, and then
Right. Okay.
You know.
All right. Well,
All
thank you, Dan.
All right, Thomas. Good question. Thank you for the call. Let me go to, let's see if we have time to get to Michael. Yeah, let me go to Michael in Virginia. Go ahead, Michael.
Yes, hello, Dan, and may God bless your show.
Thank you, brother.
I just wanted to ask about a 401. If the 401 crashes or the bubble breaks, whichever you want to call it, do we get any money from that? And what should I do now about it? And should I wait until I'm 70 and a half to get some of the money out of it for the tax reasons?
How old are you now, Thomas? Or, I'm sorry,
70.
Michael? 70?
Yes.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So the 401k, Michael, it's got nothing to do with the account. It's what's in the account. So if you've got things in your 401k that are all exposed to the stock market, you know, either individual stocks or stock mutual funds, then when that market crashes, not if, but when it crashes, you're going to lose money. I mean, you're going to lose a considerable amount of money. So I think that if nothing else, and I'm going to finish this right after the break, Michael, because we're running out of time here, so keep listening. So let me do that. Let me just finish after this break. Financial Issues, 866-300-9298.